Hello all, today I am bringing you a two-player overview of Cuvee, which is just behind me here. Now this is a 2 to 4 player game. It's probably going to take you about 90 minutes and it's that sort of medium, just touching on heavy complexity. And I'll pop the publisher and designer just over in the description as well. Okay, there is lots going on here. We've got a large board. Now in a two-player game, you will not be using these side areas here. So I've just put on the actual wines themselves just to condense it slightly. We've got all the actions working from spring to winter, and you are taking a charge of 2 vineyards and trying to develop your business and make the most prestige. So you've got all these vineyards here. You'll have picked 2 to begin with, so pinks have gone with a C there and a C there, and the white player's got a C and a C here. Now you just sort of go in like a snake-like fashion, so pink would have gone first, and then white would have picked another, and then pink again. At the top, we've got a sort of wine contest going on here. We've got the global market, you can go and attain loads of money, and you've got the local market, you can get some prestige there as well. We've got the wholesaler, which you'll have an opportunity to, they'll bulk buy your wine at you. You won't get as much money, but yet you can go there at the end of a round as well. We're playing over 6 years. And just to the side, we've got your player board where you've got your sellers and you're storing this wine. These tokens can flip upside down to match whichever wine it is, a white or a red. And you've got your prestige, you start on 5 and your money there as well. And you've got limited workers, you've got a bit of a reference for the end of the round. You can potentially get more sellers as well and pop these here, which is great. And you've got a load of dice which represent the quality of the wine and loads of barrels as well. And there's a few bits just out of camera view, but I'll bring those into play. So you've decided who's first. They're getting this Cuvee cork as a starting player token, which is lovely. Right, first thing you're doing is planning. So everyone's got 2 of these action pawns. First player is going to go, right, which one of these locations? Let's go summer. Next player's up. They're like, right, I have to go to a different one. Autumn. White's up again. We're going to go here. Pinks up, they're going to go here. Okay, the location which has not been utilised, which is winter, we are going to put a weather card on. So this is called phase 2. So you randomly shuffle these. There's loads of stuff in here, from frostbite to animals. We've got hailstorms, drought. So we're going to randomly shuffle those, pick one, it goes on here. Now, if it matches the icon on there, what have we got? We've got a hailstorm. It does not match the animal, so we are having no impact by weather. And I'll go through weather in a bit more detail shortly. Okay, so that was phase 2, weather. Now the actions, we're actually going to utilise where we have gone. Now the player who went there with their pawn is going to get 2 actions from those selected just below. The other players are going to get 1 action even though they didn't go there. So pink's going to get 2 actions. What can they do in spring then? They can go and graft, which is where you can look at any one of your vineyards and you can turn it over. Doing so is going to cost you 2 coins. Now within that action you can do as many vineyards as you want, but each one is going to cost you 2 money. And why would you want to do that? Well, let's say this player turns this ferment, if you can pronounce it like that. You turn it over and you can see it's now a Sauvignon Blanc. And that has a quality level of 2, which means you're not having to work as hard to make the quality better on that wine. So that's maybe why you want to go and graft. And that's going to cost you 2 coins, right? Next action is green harvest, which you can improve the quality of all or as many of you as you want of your vineyards. And doing so moves the quality up from, say, a 1 here to a level 3. So pink might be like, right, I'm targeting these 2 here, and they've gone from a 2 there up to a 4. So that sounds really powerful, and it is, but there's a caveat. You have to lose 1 of your barrels from each vineyard that you actually improve with a green harvest. You've got sales at the bottom, so maybe you've got some barrels, in your cellar. I'll just grab one of these Rieslings here. And you want to sell 1 of these barrels. You can sell up to 2. And it reminds you on the action is you can take 2 of these and you're going to pick either the global market or the local market. And depending on the quality of your wine, if you've got a strength, 4, you can go to a 4 or lower. You place your wines there and you are going to get the relevant money or the prestige, and you just keep track on your player board. If your wine was a Cuvee, you've managed to blend it at some point, you can see a Cuvee is going to get you +2, and you look down the column, 2 money. And if you've actually got a crowned wine, if you've won one of these wine contests on previous rounds, you're going to get +2 money and +1 prestige. You can see in the local market, it's all about, plus in your prestige and a little bit of extra money. So depending on which market you want to go to, 3-player, 4-player can utilise those spots, so 2-player can only go on these ones here. So that is selling your wine. You're going to generate more money, which is great because when you get to the summer here, these guys on the summer can construct, and there's a host of buildings. There's 4 in the game. You've got a cellar, you're going to need a worker here. It's going to cost you 2 coins, and they progressively get more expensive as you go through the deck. This one's going to actually allow you to build an extra cellar, level 4, that's 5, but yeah, and it means you can store more wines there. But you're going to have to keep this in play, and you get 2 prestige. The guest house, you're going to need strength 4 quality wine, 2 of those to pay at the end of the round, 2 workers, cost of 4, and you've got some lovely income and prestige coming your way. Restaurant similar, just needs a bit more barrels there, a few workers, and it's going to cost you a little bit more. And finally, the wine house, 2 barrels, 1 worker, and you are going to get these juicy benefits. Now, when you build and construct one of these, it has to cover up a level C, plot of land, a vineyard that you already acquire. So placing this here is actually going to get rid of the barrels, get rid of the dice, and you're going to need to put a worker on there, and there's no cost to that. But you can see you're not producing and harvesting as much wine now because you've built a building. Okay, so that's construction. Vineyard care. You can increase the quality of all of your vineyards by 1, which is excellent. And you don't have to lose a barrel like you did with the green harvest here. So that's summer then. Autumn. Now, every time you've done an action, these guys have done 2 actions. They've picked, say, grafting and green harvest. Then every other player gets 1 action, even though they didn't go there. So they'll pick 1, and then once everyone's had their action, that's done. Over to this one, the white player gets to pick 2 actions. They're going to go for maybe a construction, maybe a vineyard care and increase those qualities. Then every other player working clockwise around the table gets 1 action. So back around to autumn then. Now there's autumn 1 and autumn 2. Autumn 1 then, you're going to harvest. Well, you can choose to harvest if you want. Now if you harvest, you literally take the barrels off as many as the vineyards as you want, and you're going to see a Pinot Noir here. I'm awful at pronouncing wine names. So you can see we've got the reds here, and we've got the whites here, the Cuvees at the top. So we take the matching one, we place it in our cellar, we take the 2 barrels. You can only ever have up to 2 barrels on these locations. You place them in here, and you can only ever have a maximum of 3 in your cellar here. We change this depending on the wine. If it's green, you just flip it over to white, and that's actually got nothing in it. We've got the red here, and you match the quality. So in this case, it's a level 1. So you take a dice 1, and you just put that at the top. So that reminds you that the quality of this wine is a 1, and you can see what it is. So that is harvesting. Now, for every vineyard you don't harvest, you're going to lose -2 prestige. If you do harvest and you can't fit it in your cellar, you're losing -2 prestige as well. So be very mindful and efficient over how many barrels you're making and how much you're putting in your cellar when you're constructing to improve the size of your cellar, because that matters with your prestige. You need an efficient game here. You can't just go mass producing and have nowhere to put it. Okay. Next thing you can do is purchase, and that is where you're actually acquiring the vineyards then. Now you can only acquire and construct on areas where you can only construct on things that you own. You can only purchase things that are either horizontal to a previous location you're on, or vertically here. So pink could only buy here, here, along here, or here as well. And the purchase cost is 2 to acquire a C, 3 for a B, and 5 for an A. Now you can see on these locations, it's reminding you that, white player has 2 actions to do here. They can only do harvest a maximum of once, and purchase up to a maximum of twice. And that doesn't mean you can't purchase as many things as you want. It just means as an action, you can only do purchase up to twice then. Okay, autumn 1 is done, autumn 2 then. So you've got a second opportunity to harvest. And that's important because maybe on the first one, you didn't want to do it. You wanted to purchase some land and vineyards, or maybe just wanted to, harvest a few fields because then you wanted to blend them in autumn and make a bit more space in your cellar. So this is last chance saloon. Now you're hoping to harvest as many of your vineyards as you can right here, because if you don't, you're losing prestige. But maybe there's a strategy for not harvesting. You're willing to take a loss on the prestige because you're trying to build your engine in some way. So yeah, a second harvest. A blending then is where you are going to take wines from your cellar, and it reminds you on here, they can either be 2 of the same, 1 each that are different, 3 of the same, or each of the 3 are different. Now, white wines will make a white Cuvee, red wines will make a red Cuvee. You can't mix and match. And how you do, you'd say, right, take 1 wine from here, 1 from here, and I'm completely messing this up. Let's just say we've got this scenario. We've got 2 Pinot Noirs. And we're trying to make a Cuvee. So we'll take this red Cuvee and pop that there. So you've got a strength of, let's say, 6 for this one and 1 for this. 6 plus the 1 is 7. Divide it is 3, rounded down. So you have made 2 red Cuvees of a strength of 3. Now, if you did have one of these aging tokens, which I'll describe in a minute, you can actually round up as well. Okay, so that's Cuvees. It's a really nice way to get a sort of nicer blend of wines, and that can give you more benefits when you come to these global markets. All right, so next up, we have got winter sales. So it's exactly the same as down here. You can sell to these markets up to 2 things per action. Wine contest then. You, as the player who went there, can send up to, as you choose it as your action, 2 wines to here. You have to send maybe a white wine, and then you're going to have to send a red wine. You can't send 2 white wines. And everyone else can then participate, even if they didn't choose that as an action. So everyone else gets a chance to send 1 of their wines there. Now, you need at least 2 barrels of that particular wine, because 1 is going to go over to here, and you're going to take this token, pop that there, so they're producing a red wine. Now, if you do win and you've got the highest quality wine, and tiebreakers are based on if one of yours is aged, you will win this and you will get 5 prestige, 1 income, and you'll take one of these crowns and you will put that with your other barrel here, which means that that barrel is prestigious. It has won the wine contest, it's crowned champion, and that is worth more prestige and money when you come to these markets. So that is a wine contest. Now, you can have multiple wine contests depending on how many people pick that action. So that's how these actions are going to work. Now, if you don't particularly want to do one of your 2 actions, the first action you can forgo and you can take 1 extra coin. You just bump up your income here. If you forgo the second one, you can take 1 of these event cards. And there's loads of juicy things in here, but you can only attain one of these by, forfeiting your second action. So, yeah, bear that in mind. Okay, so that's actions done. We go to the end of the year. This is where you're going to deliver barrels first to your constructed buildings. So these guys are going to have to take 2 barrels anywhere from their cellar. Doesn't matter what quality, what level they are, or how, you say 1 from here, 1 from here, however it may be. So they pay for that, done. That's the first thing. You then have to pay for your workers. Each worker, 1 coin. If you can't pay, because you haven't got enough money here, you are going to have to get rid of either the constructed property where your worker is, or you're going to have to get rid of one of these vineyards. Now, you'll notice in the setup that these guys have actually got 2 workers out because they are 2 different areas. Whereas this, the white player has 1 worker which is adjacent to 2 areas, so they can be efficient and work 2 plots of land if they're adjacent. If they eventually buy this one here, they can maybe put this here, they've maybe disregarded this one, and that's how you can be uber efficient over how much income you have to pay with your workers. You're then going to collect revenues, and this is after you've paid your income. So these guys, they've funded that, they're going to get 6 money and 2. We then go on to selling or buying at the wholesaler. So you can sell any number of your wines in bulk, so they're going to take all of it from 1 type, and they're going to pay you 1 coin for up to 3 there. Or you can go and buy that here, and they're selling you these wines. So maybe you want to go and buy this one. It's going to cost you either 2 or 3, depending on the quality you want, and you can buy up to 3 barrels. You're going to need space in your cellar. You put that down, and it's just a quick and easy way of getting barrels into your cellar, and they're going to get aged next round as well, which is maybe why you want to achieve that one. This will always fill up with 1 red and 1 white to choose from. You are then going to age your wines. So every wine in your cellar is going to get 1 of these tokens. If there's already 1 there, you put a second down, you take them both off, and you increase the quality. So from a 3 to a 4, which is excellent, because when you go and sell out the local market, it is worth more money for you. That is the end of a year. We prep for the next round, so we're going to remove all the barrels that were on the market. It's all from the wine contest. They are gone. We are going to reset our dice, so these don't stay as they are. You reset them to the lower level, so this goes back to a 1, that's a 1, and that goes back to a 1, which is why you want a graph. So turn them over, and you're starting with a better quality wine, which means you're not having to work as hard to improve the quality. You're then going to load them up with 2 barrels each again, so this one's going to get 2 barrels. Those would have been discarded, 2 there, and so on. You're then going to move the marker on, so you've got 6 years to play, and then you're going to pass the starting player over clockwise. After 6 years, you are going to score 1 VP for each vineyard you own, 1 VP for each of your buildings out there, and you're going to get the VPs on here, and 1 VP for each free money you have. Whoever has the most money is the winner. Okay, a few things I've not touched on. If you're playing a free 4-player game, you can turn these over and there's more action spots to go to. So, you know, a player might go here and you kind of snake him back, and you have to make sure that basically let's just give you a quick demo. So white goes here, black goes there, and this is a 4-player game. Grey has to go somewhere different. They can't go on one of these locations. And then pink's up. So obviously this one's going to get the weather phase 2. Then everyone goes again. So what we got, black's got to go somewhere different, white's got to go somewhere different, and then pink, and then you can see the grey player has to go here. So that's kind of how, you know, the action selection works, and you're going to work from left to right as you do these actions. And everyone still gets, you know, if pink and white were here, you know, black and grey will still get one action there. So that's how it works in a 4-player game, and obviously these would come into play as well. Now, a few things with the weather. We've kind of showed you guys that if a weather comes into play in one of these 3 areas, you are going to lose 1 quality on your dice or the choice of 1 barrel. If you decide to spend what are known as microclimate tokens, you can put these out, and that's what these locations are for. If you put it horizontally, it protects everyone in this row. If you put it vertically, it protects everyone, even other players in that column. And you've only got 2 of these for the entirety of the game, and they help prevent, you know, these, it could be animals attacking you, it could be hailstorms, whatever it may be. Now, if the weather comes out in one of the later seasons, it won't impact you this round, it'll impact you on the next round, and it's called damage relief. You have an opportunity to pay 1 coin when it gets to this phase here to, you know, forgo that damage on the next round. So 1 coin per vineyard. If you don't do that, next round, you're going to take the damage, and it's the same, a 1 reduction in quality or a reduction of 1 barrel. Lots going on here, folks. Lots of puzzly, you know, crunchy decisions to make. Which vineyards you're going to try and attain? How are you going to be efficient? Maybe acquire 1 adjacent to it so you can use 1 worker. How are you going to improve the quality? Sometimes, you know, losing one of these barrels to go up 2 with the green harvest is great, because when you actually harvest, if you've got 2 wines of the same, maybe this Cabernet Franc here and this one here, and they're the same quality, you can actually condense, well, they're 2 different colours, but let's just say there's 2 barrels for wine there. You can condense these 3 into a Cabernet Franc in the same one, because you can see they can host up to 3. So you're trying to be uber efficient with decisions like that. When you go and construct, it's going to take off one of your vineyards. So you're then like, well, how am I producing to then fund these properties? How am I going to blend those Cuvees because they're worth more here? What am I going to send to the wine contest? So loads of little things to think about. I really enjoy the action selection. It's very clever. I like how this, you know, it's not massively impactful, but it does have an impact very early on in the game. The weather, you know, where that ends up, and you need those coins because you want to construct, you know, and you don't want to be forced to have to go to the wholesaler to sell wines at a poor rate just to get the coins to fund, you know, your workers you're having to pay for, because you have to pay for them first before you get the money from, for example, the wine house here. And you've got this really interesting, you know, tough decision over how many wines you can fit in here, which ones you're trying to sell, and, you know, your crown ones, how you're going to improve the quality, what time you're going to go and extend this cellar, you know, are you going to forgo from prestige because, you know, you're going to miss on a harvest. So lots to think about. 2-3 players work really nicely. I've yet to try 4, looking forward to trying that one. But yeah, give this one a go if you're interested in that whole vineyard development, the layered structure to it, and just making the most prestige for the win here. There we are. Enjoy.